Hey everybody, Kim here. My channel is Never Too Late. Today's video is a little different. I had a comment asking about kind of if I could talk about how I kind of went from where I didn't like looking at myself in pictures, really didn't, just like looking at myself at all, didn't see any beauty, I don't know, just didn't see any attractiveness in myself when I looked at myself. And how I got from there to where I'm at now, which is just being able to, make videos, look at myself in clothes or hats or whatever, and actually feel really good about what I see and be able to even say out loud, I look really cute in this, and really, really actually mean it. So I'm going to try to do that. It's been a process that's taken a lot of time, and I'm just going to kind of tell you things that I think were a part of it. I think maybe the first, or one of the first things to me was when I was working with my therapist with my anxiety and just kind of really looking at a lot of things that shaped me. And one of the things, or a couple of things I looked at is, I think how I grew up, things that happened to me as a teenager, as a preteen, growing up, I think a lot of that really did shape my inability to see myself clearly, to see myself as, attractive, as cute, as pretty, as whatever you want to call it. And part of that is because I grew up kind of being told that I could be pretty if. There was always an if. You would be so cute if. And it was usually if I lost a few pounds, if I was skinnier. So that definitely led to a lot of my issues with weight and not being able to see myself as attractive unless I was thin, first and foremost. And then there's also I had some teasing growing up, normal kid stuff, but I think because I was an insecure, not very confident kid, it really hit me hard, and I took it to heart, and it stayed with me for a long time. If you've watched any of my videos, especially the ones where I'm trying on clothes and stuff, I have a very generous rear end. Very generous. It will never be small. And back when I was growing up, that wasn't something that was considered attractive. I feel like now people, pay to get enhancements. But when I was growing up, it was not something that was looked on as a positive thing. And there was a girl I went to school with, and she used to call me BBF, which stood for Big Butt Freak. So she would call me Big Butt Freak. And, I think that also played a part in it. So things like that. It was stuff like that where I didn't have a lot of people saying, oh, you look so pretty today, or you look really pretty in that color, or anything like that. And I had a lot of people saying things that led me to believe that I wasn't attractive, I wasn't pretty. So I think that's the first part, is actually looking at, why do I feel why did I feel the way I did when I looked in the mirror? Why, what were the things that were at play there? And for me, and this is just what worked for me, and different people, different things work, different ways of looking at things work. But for me, just being able to mentally, intellectually look at those things and realize how invalid they all were, how untrue the things were, that I was holding on to things about myself that weren't even true or valid. So that was helpful, I think, for me in my head. And that was maybe for me, the first step. Also realizing that I was so much kinder to other people than I was to myself, that I could look I could look at something in another person and say, oh, that's so pretty, or you look so good, or whatever. And in me, it would not be the same. I would see the negatives. I would see only things that were not positive. I couldn't see myself the same way I saw, just the rest of the world in general. I just saw myself with a filter, and it wasn't a flattering filter. So I think, that was a big part for me to be able to just realize that and intellectually say, you are viewing yourself in a way that's just not even real. Now, being able to think it and know it in your head does not mean that converts to knowing it and really feeling it when you look in the mirror. And that was a process, but that was, I think, a starting point for me, was just taking all the things that I had held for so long and, just really looking at them and realizing how invalid they were. I think another thing that maybe the next step for me was the whole idea that, and this was for me looking at myself in pictures or etc., was the whole idea that I tended to look at a picture, any occasion, and the only thing I saw was the things I didn't like about myself. I'm sorry if you hear that rumbling sound. That is my the outside of my fireplace rattles a little bit when it's on and it's cold. So I turned my fireplace on today. But, I think I would look at a picture of me and I wouldn't see the picture. I would just see all the things I didn't like about myself. And so I think the next step for me was to stop being that person that didn't want to be in pictures, stop being that person that avoided pictures, and learn to see things as the moment that they, a reflection of the moment they occurred in, rather than me just looking at myself in them. If it was a selfie I took with my husband and we were hiking, then look at it as, the picture. I was able to start looking at pictures as a beautiful memory and not just critiquing myself, if that makes any sense. And that was kind of the first step, where I think that just kind of helped me look in a bigger view and not be so microscopically focused in on my flaws. I was able to look as an overview kind of. And so that was another step. And I think that's kind of the place where I was at when, I think I was at the place where I could take pictures and be like, okay, not terrible. It's okay. I can live with that. It's okay. I can live with that. So I was kind of getting towards acceptance at that point. And I mean, this was a lot of work within myself too, of, looking in the mirror and stopping the negative thoughts, cutting them off, trying to replace them with something positive. So, I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it kind of daily. It's kind of like, it's almost like retraining yourself, retraining the way you think, training your brain to think a different way about yourself. And then I think I was kind of in that place when I started making YouTube videos. And honestly, I started and I made that first video and I thought there's really like a 90% chance I will never actually do anything with this. This will just be a video that I make and I'll never do anything with it. And I probably had it for a couple of days going back and forth, and I finally just posted it and, started my channel. Not expecting anyone to watch. I honestly never did. But honestly, I can say that starting this YouTube channel was probably a big turning point for me, from going from, the beginnings of acceptance to actually being able to see myself in a way that's positive. Actually being to look at myself and say, I kind of look cute today, or man, I look great in this outfit, or, I look great today. There's just, I think for me, I was at a place where I was ready and I didn't even realize it. And maybe that's why I was okay with starting the channel, because I had gotten to a place where I was okay with looking at myself. Because when you're making a video, you are staring into the camera. You're pretty much looking at yourself the whole time. And the first few videos, I wasn't really happy looking at myself. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. It was not fun. But I did it. And I noticed everything I didn't like about myself. And some things I had never even realized. I didn't even realize that my face is kind of crooked. And like one eye, one nostril, like a little crooked. But whatever. But I did notice other things. Like my lips are always really chapped. And, you know, I noticed all of the little things I didn't like. Some of the things I can do things about. Like working on my lips not being so chapped all the time. I can help with that. My teeth not being perfectly white. You know, that's a choice where I can really work on that or spend a lot of money to get them whitened, or I can just accept and, you know, try my home things and do the best I can. My hair is really thin and sometimes it looks kind of stringy because it's really thin. You know, it just is what it is. And I think the more I looked at myself, the more I got to the point of just accepting the things. Accepting that my hair is thin and it is what it is. Accepting that my teeth aren't great. My lips are chapped. My lips are really thin. I mean, I could give you a list of all of the things that I went through looking at and finding critiques. And that's just my face. We're not even talking about my body. That's a whole another story. But just looking at myself, and it's almost like immersion therapy, is that what it's called? Where, you know, if there's something that you're afraid of or whatever, you force yourself into the situation so that you get over it. I guess for me, it's a little bit like that. I looked at myself until I could see past the things I didn't like. And when I was looking at the things I didn't like, you know, I had like conversations after I made videos, or it with my head. You know, in my head, I talked to myself and I said, yeah, that's what it is. What are you going to do? Are you going to hate it forever? Or are you going to find your peace with it and learn to love yourself? And I decided that I wanted to learn to love myself. I wanted to learn to like myself. I wanted to learn to look in the mirror and see the good and not the bad. And so I practiced it. Honestly, I practiced it for a very long time. And, you know, it's kind of a little bit like, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. Somewhere along the process of staring at myself and trying to talk myself out of disliking everything and disliking things, I crossed over into finding things I do like. So I don't know. I can't say when that actually happened, but it did. And then I just started realizing that, yeah, I do have things about me I like. I do think I look really cute sometimes. I mean, I'm not going to say I look in the mirror every time and think, oh, you look good, girl. There are days when I look in the mirror and I'm like, whoop, you look a little rough today. I mean, I don't always still to this day, I don't always like what I see. And that's okay. I think that's another thing, is being okay with that I'm going to have days that I love what I look like, and I may have days where I'm not loving it so much, and that's okay too. It's accepting it. I think that was the big part of the big turning point, is acceptance. I think accepting who I am, the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, the whatever. Accept it, and then find the things I love, so that the focus when I look in the mirror isn't the things I don't like anymore. The focus can be the things I like. And like I said, some days are better than others. I mean, but I would say I have far, far, far more days where I'm happy looking in the mirror than when I'm not. And when I have the days when I'm not, I just try to find something positive to focus on, you know? And then, you know, also with my body, I've always had a big issue with my weight, because, you know, it was just drilled into my head that the only way you can actually be attractive is if you're thin. which we all know is not true. And I knew that was true looking at other people, but I never could make that be true for myself. So honestly, it was a lot of fake it till you make it. Honestly, and I think that's where my fashion journey came into it too, is just the whole idea of not restricting myself anymore, not trying to hide who I am, but just to say, this is who I am right now. Maybe a little heavier than I'm comfortable, than I like. Definitely a little heavier than my knees really like. But it's who I am right now. It's where I am right now. I'm doing the best I can to get healthier, to do better. I have, I have periods where I do really well, and then sometimes I'm not doing so well, and then I get back on track and I do well again. So, I think it kind of got to acceptance, just accepting that I am who I am right now in this moment, and that I am good as I am right now in this moment, and that I need to like myself and love myself as I am right now. The whole idea that I think I spent a lot of my life was waiting to like myself until I got to a certain place. I looked a certain way, I did a certain thing, I could wear a certain thing, I was a certain size, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm gonna learn. I have learned to find a way to like myself and love myself as I am in this moment, as a work in progress. Maybe not where I want to be. Maybe I'll never get to that dream ideal place I want to be, but I'm, by golly, gonna love myself and be comfortable with myself on that journey. So that's kind of where the fake it till I make it and the fashion thing came in for me, I think, is because I just kind of wanted to try new things. I was tired of hiding behind baggy clothes and tired of just wearing sweatpants and workout clothes, because, if you don't look good because you don't try to look good, then it's because you didn't try, right? It's not because you just failed. It's because you just didn't try. And I think that a lot of my life has been my crutch. Just don't try, because then you can't fail. And yeah, I'm not doing that anymore either. So now I'm just exploring and experimenting. And, sometimes I will look at some part of my body. My arms are flabby, my thighs have cellulite, whatever it is. And I will just have to employ my fake it till you make it. And that's just basically saying, I'm going to wear shorts. Some of my cellulite shows, but I'm just going to do it until I'm comfortable with it. I'm going to look at it in the mirror and tell myself it's okay, and focus on something else that I do like, rather than focusing on what I don't like, until it's not such a problem anymore. And that has really helped me. I think this whole idea of being perfect and looking perfect, and it's just so damaging when you hold yourself up to a standard that you're probably never going to meet, and you hold yourself back from enjoying where you are at all the other times before you get there, because you may never get there anyway. And some of it is very unrealistic. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say, very ramblingly, but hey, that's me, I ramble, is that I made a choice, and it started as an intellectual choice, and then I really practiced it. I worked at it until it became a belief. And that is that when I look in the mirror, first and foremost, no matter what I see, no matter what I feel about how I feel about what I see, I'm going to accept myself in that moment. And I am going to say, I can love you. Even if I don't love everything about you in this moment, I still love you. And then, from the acceptance comes the feeling positive about yourself. Just changing the focus, changing your mindset to where you don't focus on everything that's wrong and you focus on what's right. And I guess saying it like that, it sounds simple, and it's not. I know that it is not simple. It wasn't simple for me. But it was important enough to me that I did really work at it. I really worked at it. I really worked at changing the conversation I had with myself in my head. I worked on catching myself when I was having negative thoughts about myself, having, looking at the things I hated and really just drilling in on that. I really worked on doing the opposite, telling myself the positive things. And sometimes I had to tell myself things when I really didn't believe it until I did believe it. It was just part of the process for me. But I can now, like I said, it's not every day. I don't every day go, wow, I'm so pretty. But I can look here right now and I can look in the mirror and I can say, yeah, I see pretty. I do. And maybe everyone else doesn't. And that's okay. It doesn't matter if everyone sees it. It just matters that I see it. That I see not only my inner worth, but I see my outer worth as well. I do. I see the things about me that are beautiful on the inside and the outside. And I choose to look at those things and focus on those things. And when the things that aren't beautiful on the inside or the outside start being the things that occupy my brain, then I look, can I change them? Is it something I can change? And that is really more for the inside. Is there something about me that I'm not really happy with? Have I been negative? Have I been critical? What have have I been impatient? Then what do I need to do to fix that? And on the outside, it's more of, yeah, I don't like that my thighs are huge and cellulite right now. But what can I do about that? Okay, well, I can eat healthier and I can exercise. I can try to make my body stronger and healthier. And as my body gets stronger and healthier, I'm going to love it more because of what it does for me and how it performs. So, I guess to sum it up, and I'm sorry that this was very rambly, I guess to sum it up, I would say that for me, the keys were finding out or trying to figure out the roots of my negative self-image, my negative self-thoughts. Really looking at them and finding and saying, is there truth here? What is the truth here? And where there was no truth, saying and believing that I was looking at myself through a filter that was completely unfair and false. And I needed to stop. And then next came trying to look at the big picture. Look at how I fit into things. Look at how I fit into pictures. And so instead of focusing on, I don't like this wrinkle or that thing or look how happy I was in that moment. Look at the smile on my face. That's a beautiful smile because I was happy. And that is a beautiful thing. So finding the positives in the bigger picture. And then I was able to kind of move into really looking at myself, staring at myself. And for me, it was doing YouTube. I don't think that is something that is for everyone at all. But everybody does have, most people have access to a camera on their phone or whatever. You can absolutely take a video of yourself and erase it, delete it. But practice, maybe do it every once in a while until you get to the point where you can look and you can see the things you like instead of the things you don't like. And while you're looking in the beginning and seeing the things you don't like, look at them and say, okay, this is something I don't like. What can I do about it? Nothing. Okay, well, that is who I am. What is beautiful about it? What is beautiful about me? What is something else that's beautiful? I think it's basically just changing, flipping your thought process, focusing on the positives, trying to put the negatives in your rear view because they don't bring anything. They don't bring anything to your life that's good and helpful. And just believe, fake it, be happy. Because honestly, being happy and being confident are two of the most attractive things out there. So be happy and be confident. Find your way to those two places and just change the way you talk to yourself and the way you think about yourself. That's pretty much what I did. It's not simple. It takes practice. It takes determination. But the first time you get to where you can look at yourself when you haven't before and say, yeah, I see something beautiful there. It feels amazing. It was very life-changing for me. And I'm so grateful that I have made this journey. But even now, it is still a daily thing, you know? I still have to remind myself sometimes, and I still have to actively focus sometimes on the positives. So I don't know. If this is a journey you're on, if this is something you've struggled with as well, I guess I just want to tell you to love yourself, believe in yourself. See yourself as other people see you, not as you see yourself. And I'm not talking about seeing yourself the way the negative people in your life see you. See yourself the way the people that value you see you. And be as kind to yourself as you are to others. There's no reason why you should find something attractive in someone else and the same thing unattractive in yourself. Give yourself the same love that you give to other people. And just know, I don't know, I am here, I support you all, and I will put my link to my Instagram at the bottom of this video. You know, there is messaging in Instagram, so if you ever want to ask me a question, or you can also leave it in the comments if you want to ask a question or ask for support or anything like that. But if you want to do so privately, you can go to my Instagram and leave me a message, leave me a direct message, and I will be able to get back to you that way too if you wanted to talk to me more privately. But just know that if this is a struggle you're going through, you're not alone. So many of us have been through this struggle or are in this struggle still. But I believe in you. I believe in all of you. I believe you can get to a place where you can look at yourself and just see your beauty like the people that care about you do as well. All right. I'm going to end this. I hope this made some kind of sense. But I just wish you all the best. Remember that it is never too late. It is never too late for this either. It is never too late to even start this journey. Even if you haven't started it yet, it's never too late to learn to love yourself, to realize your value, your beauty, all that you have to give in the world. It is never too late. So do this for yourself. Give yourself the gift of loving yourself, because it is a gift and you will not regret it. All right. I hope everyone has a wonderful, spectacular rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everybody.